Om Namo Narayan, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om, Shivoham, Om Mani Padme Hum. Welcome to another Satsang with your host, Chuck the Yogi from the Yogi Cave, and we've gone from India, Kashmir, we've gone to Nepal, and now we're off to the plains, the Tibetan Plateau. So let us start with the oral instructions, because all original yogi instructions were oral. The idea of Upanishad intimates that a student is getting very close to hear the whispers of his master. Anyway, the oral instruction of the 6 yogas by the Indian Mahasiddha Tilopa. Homage to the glorious Chakrasambhara. Please take advantage of the karmic process and extract the essence of the human potential. What more need I say? Okay. Let us talk about inner heat yoga, which, in my estimation, is essential in order to get that cold fusion running and allow that adamantine body to energy to flow. Let's get to it. The yogic body, a collection of energy channels, coarse and subtle, possessing the energy fields, is to be brought under control. Because yoga is to be yoked, right? That makes the difference between a Pashu and a Vida, and between a Vida and ultimately a Deva. The method begins with the physical exercises. The vital airs or energies, pranas, are drawn in, filled, retained, and dissolved. There are 2 side channels, which they call different by different names. In India, they're called the Ida and Pingala. Central channel Avaduti, which in India is called Shushumna, and the 4 chakras, which in India are 6. So there's always these variations. Flames rise from the Chandali fire at the navel. So this is about stoking that fire and allowing it to move from the base of the spine upward. A stream of nectar drips down, Amrita, from the syllable Ham at the crown, up here. So again, each seed or Bij mantra is equated to different parts of the energy body. Invoking the 4 joys, there are 4 results, like that similar to the cause, and 6 exercises that expand them. This is the instruction of Chariyapa. So the Hatha yoga that the Tibetan yogis engage in is to get the energy body flowing. So there's that. Illusory body yoga. All animate and inanimate things of the 3 worlds are like the examples of an illusion, a dream, and so forth, which is something that Shankaracharya would agree with. See this at all times, both in movement and in stillness. Contemplate an illusory deity reflected in a mirror. Take a drawn image of Vajrasattva and consider how the reflected image vividly appears. Just as the image is an illusory appearance, so it is with all things. So again, these images are props to help us reach that state. The yogi thus contemplates the 12 similes and sees the reality of how all things are illusory. This is the instruction of Nagarjuna. So the similes and all these other exercises that Buddhists engage in are very particular to the Buddha Dharma, to help them arrive at that conclusion that all things are an illusion. Know dreams as dreams, and constantly meditate on their profound significance. Visualize the seed syllables, or mantras, of the 5 natures with the drop, the nada, and so forth. Bindu, the nada, the sound, bindu, the visualization of the singularity. One perceives Buddhas in Buddha fields. The time of sleep is the time for the method that brings realization of great bliss, which is why I like this form of yoga so much because they haven't neglected dream yoga. This is the instruction of Lawapa. Anybody that says that dream yoga doesn't exist doesn't know the 6 yogas of Naropa, which is why it's always good to go across borders, right? Because that's what yogis did. Yogis didn't care about borders and cultures and languages. They only cared about yoga. Clear light yoga. The yogi working with the central channel, the Sushumna, places the mind in the central channel. Focus your attention on the central channel and fixes concentration on the drop at the heart. So it's just a visualization of an icon of a certain energy center in the heart chakra. Visions arise like lights, light rays, rainbows, the sunlight and the moonlight at dawn, because the sun and the moon represent the 2 channels. The sun, the moon, and then the appearance of deities and forms, just the props and the illusions that pop up in the head, in the mind. In this way, the myriads of worlds are purified. This most wondrous yogic path is the instruction of Nagarjuna. Bardo yoga. Bardo is a state where, like, living is a bardo. When you, in between lives, is a bardo. This is what the definition of bardo. The yogi at the time of death withdraws the energies of the senses and elements and directs energies of sun and moon to the heart. So again, it's about gathering the energy from the 2 channels and bringing it into the central channel. Giving rise to the myriad of yogic samadhis, consciousness goes to outer objects, but he regards them as objects of a dream. The appearances of death persist for 7 days, or perhaps as much as 7 times 7, and then one must take rebirth. At that time, so that's when the instructions of the Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, are mentioned. At that time, meditate on deity yoga, or simply remain absorbed in emptiness. After that, when the time comes for rebirth, use the deity yoga of a tantric master and meditate on guru yoga with whatever appears. Doing that will arrest the experience of the bardo. This is the instruction of Sukhasiddhi. So this is just ways to avoid reincarnation and move past the hamster wheel. And the Tibetans have perfected that. Or let's say it this way, the Tibetans have preserved that knowledge. Knowledge that was always there in yoga. Yogas of consciousness, transference, and forceful projection. By means of these yogas, at the time of transference, and also of forceful projection into another body, which is known in India as well, Shankaracharya is well known to have done such a thing, the yogi can utilize the mantric syllable of the deity and train in the deity yoga practice in conjunction with the exhalation and the inhalation of the breath, pranayama in India, long and short, and project consciousness to whatever is desired. Alternatively, those desiring to transfer to a higher realm can apply themselves to the 2 syllables of yam and also hi, ka, and hum. Consciousness is thrown to the heart of the deity inseparable from the guru, and from there to whatever Buddha field is desired. This too is the instruction of Sukhasiddhi. So the whole idea of becoming initiated into a lineage is to be able to link oneself to a guru and therefore to whatever form or deity that guru is associated with. So this is what they're talking about. All right. Written from the words of the Mahasiddhati Lopa, translated by the Indian sage Pandit Naropa and Malpa Lodrakpa, Choki Lodru at the Kashmiri holy site known as Mount Pushpahara. So Kashmir, again. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now because then we're going to move on to Naropa. And after that, I think I'm going to go to the Yangtze River in China and do some internal alchemy because My master's master was Zhongsu Hua and taught my master the art of Tai Chi, and Zhongsu Hua learned it from, who was a mathematician. He had had a heart attack, and he used Tai Chi to revitalize himself. And he lasted up to his 80s. When he passed away, a truck ran into him, and he died instantly, but he was still warm with chi, with energy, by the time they arrived at the hospital. But it was only recently, well, no, not recently. It was about 20 years ago, when I was going under a crisis, that I was forced to go deeper into Chan Sang Fang's Tai Chi, and to understand that Chan Sang Fang, the original Taoist immortal from the Wu-Tang clan, the one that went up to the Wu-Tang mountains and developed this form, it was then that I truly understood that Chan Sang Fang had internalized alchemy into the form, and I had to retro-engineer it in order to understand it. I mean, I spent many years under my master, practicing it, the long form, the Cheng long form, which would last 40 minutes. I do very condensed forms of that at this point, but it really took a crisis for me to go there and develop the Dantiang, or the field of elixir. So we'll get into all that when we're done with Naropa, but Naropa comes first. Om Namah Narayana, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om, Shivoham, Jai Ma, Jai Mahakal, Om Mani Padme Hum. Till next time.